Evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our session on the Community Wildfire Safety Program. My name is Dave Meyer, and I'm the Senior Manager for PG&E's Customer Emergency Operations Team, and I'll be moderating our webinar from my home office here in Sacramento County. We're here to share information about what we're doing to reduce wildfire risk and make the system safer. First, a few housekeeping items as we begin our presentation. We have the option to receive this information in American Sign Language. You can access the translation by clicking the link that's being provided in the chat by our team members. If you'd like to receive the information in another language, we will be hosting translated presentations that cover this same material over the summer. You can check pge.com/webinars for our updated and revised webinar schedule as we move through the year. To view real-time closed captions in English, Spanish, or Chinese, you can click the CC button in the bottom right corner of your screen, and then change the playback language by clicking Settings and adjusting the captions and subtitle language. We're also posting a number of web links in the chat. These are some of the different links we're going to mention this evening, and we want you to have them all in one place. We also want to make sure you have an opportunity to ask questions tonight and give us your feedback. Presentation will be about 30 minutes, and there will be plenty of time for Q&A at the end. If you'd like to ask a question, you can submit that anytime through the chat function. The questions only come through on our end, so don't be alarmed if you aren't seeing questions coming in from others. They are coming in and we do see them. And we'll answer those questions live after the more formal part of the presentation. If for some reason we aren't able to get to your question today, you can reach out to us at our dedicated email address for this program. That's wildfiresafety@pge.com, and our team will respond back to you. We'll also be recording the presentation today and posting it along with the slides on our website. That's pge.com/webinars. It does take about a week to get everything packaged up and posted there on the web. So check back in about a week if you're looking for the presentation or want to share it with someone. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our Regional Safety Director, Paul Jeske, to start the webinar the same way we start all of our meetings at PG&E, with a quick safety moment.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Thank you, Dave. So one of the first things I want to do is make sure we're all safe to start. And one way to do that is, and this for everyone on the call, is just take a pause, take a look around your immediate surroundings, make sure that in the event that there's an emergency at your location, that you have a safe means of exit, you know where the exits are, and that it's an unobstructed exit so you could get out safely and know your rendezvous point. In addition to that, now that it's wildfire season, we want to encourage everyone to prepare for natural disasters and emergencies by building a disaster supply kit for you, your family, or your business. So make sure you include food, water, medication, flashlights, first aid kits. A list of emergency contacts is also a very good thing to include, and anything else that you might that you think you'll need to keep yourself and your family safe. So for more information on how to prepare a good emergency kit, you can visit us at safetyactioncenter.pge.com. And again, that'll help you prepare in case you are faced with an emergency, that you and your family are best prepared to act and respond. So with that, I'll kick it back to you, Dave.
Thank you, Paul. All right, today we're going to talk about first how we identify and reduce wildfire risk. That's through our Community Wildfire Safety Program. We'll talk about the wildfire safety work that's happening in your community. We'll give an overview of safety outages and how they keep our community safer. And we'll cover resources we have available for our customers to help them prepare. And then we'll cover questions from our attendees tonight. I'd like to introduce our PG&E team. So joining me this evening are Joe Wilson. He's the Regional Vice President of the North Valley and Sierra region. You just met Paul Jeske. He's the Regional Safety Director in the region. And Brandon Sanders is here. He is our Local Government Affairs Representative. And with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Joe Wilson, your Regional Vice President, to discuss the work we're doing to prevent wildfires.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dave. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Joe Wilson. I'm the Regional Vice President for the North Valley Sierra region for PG&E. And I want to start off by saying every year we are making progress in making our system more safe for our communities, for our hometowns. But to understand where to focus our efforts, we first have to identify where is wildfire risk the greatest. And so what we see here on the screen are parts of Nevada County, Solano County, and Yolo County that have the highest areas of extreme wildfire risk. Now, we first launched our Community Wildfire Safety Program in 2018. And what we're trying to do is really target our activities in those areas that we just saw that have the highest risk. Over the last 5 years, we've made tremendous progress. And what we've done is we've been able to kind of layer upon layer different measures to be able to improve safety for the electrical system in each of these counties. Some of the ways that we've been able to kind of layer protection is we've been able to strengthen the system with stronger poles, broader cross arms, covered power lines. We've increased our vegetation management work. We've announced a major initiative to underground 10,000 miles. A large part of all of those 10,000 miles are within the North Valley Sierra region. And then as a last resort, we have public safety power shutoffs. And we know that losing power during an extreme weather event, when there's high fire risk, can be an extreme hardship to our customers. So we've increased our efforts to be able to provide resources to our customers in those instances. We're working really hard. Every day we have over 2,000 of our coworkers who are specifically working on hardening the system, making it safer, whether it's engineering, underground miles, or overhead lines, or working our enhanced power line safety settings, or working on our PSPS programs. We're all working to really create a safer system for our customers. Now, since we've launched the Community Wildfire Safety Program in 2018, we've been able to eliminate 90% of the wildfire risk from the PG&E electric system. And again, we've accomplished this through a lot of those layering techniques. We've had long-term improvements, safety programs, new situational awareness tools that help us to really make better decisions about the tools that we should use to try and create a safer system. Now, what's really unique, and something I'm really proud about, is each of those tools they're not standalone. They are integrated, they work together. And that's why we've been able to achieve 90% reduction in risk from our electrical equipment over this time period. Now, in the next section, we'll talk about some of the specific work that we're doing in your community to prevent wildfires. Now, if you look at the county work, you see a lot of small dots, and it's kind of hard to read. But you can see in each of these counties, we have a significant amount of work where we are focused on the activities that will reduce wildfire risk. Some of them are planned and completed undergrounding miles. Some of the dots represent overhead system hardening miles. Some represent sectionalization or line recloser devices that have been installed. Some of the dots represent weather stations. And then some of the dots are high definition weather cameras or cameras that allow us to have greater situational awareness. We're also really focused on trees. Every single year, we inspect vegetation on about 100,000 miles of power lines throughout the PG&E service area. We prune or cut down over 1 million trees that present a hazard. And we do more trimming when we see that we've had a high volume of outages that have been caused by vegetation. So together, all of that work really creates this really strong safety net for us that helps us to eliminate wildfire risk and also increases the reliability for our customers. So what can you expect when we're doing vegetation management work? Well, if any safety work is planned on your property, you can expect an advance notification by text or by email. And you can also look and see kind of really what the scope entails by going to pge.com/trees. Now, when it comes to the electrical grid, over the past 5 years, we've completed overhead system hardening and underground work totaling 53 miles in Nevada County, 74 miles in Solano County, 10 miles in Yolo County. And we're currently working towards an overhead system hardening project that is less than 1 mile in Solano County and 2 miles in Yolo County. Now, those two counties have had a lot of work done in the last few years. The LNU complex created the opportunity to harden a fair amount of lines, specifically on the western side of Yolo and Solano County. Now, the work's going to continue year after year, and it's going to help us really make our communities safer. Now, when it comes to getting a better picture of the risk that we're facing, we've built and installed our own network of high-definition cameras and weather stations. So in 2022, last year, we reached our goal of having 600 total HD cameras installed. And that allows us to really get kind of the broader picture of 90% of the high-risk areas that we serve. And not only do we have the broader picture of a large area, we're able to use each one of those cameras to get a very narrow picture, high definition, of any areas that might have a fire that is developing, or just allow us to maintain better situational awareness for our teams as we are working on hardening the system. We've also installed a pretty comprehensive network of advanced weather stations, which gives us real-time information. So last year, we installed 2 weather stations and 1 HD camera in Nevada County and 1 HD camera in Solano County. So you can see these cameras and these weather stations if you go to pge.com/weather. Now, in 2021, we made a major announcement that we were going to lead the nation in undergrounding electric distribution. And we committed to undergrounding 10,000 miles of power lines in areas, again, with the highest risk. And we feel that this is the right choice for our customers and the right choice for our state, because when you underground electric distribution, you're able to reduce the ignition risk by 99%. Undergrounding also helps prevent future outages related to storms, reduces vegetation management maintenance, and it really helps us just build a stronger, more resilient system. So once an area is identified for undergrounding work, we evaluate each project with a focus on how do we really eliminate the greatest amount of risk and consequence effectively and efficiently. In 2022, we completed about 1 mile of undergrounding in Nevada County. We're currently working towards 3 miles of undergrounding in Solano County. Last year we completed, I should say. And then this year, we're looking at doing 15 additional undergrounding miles in Nevada, 62 undergrounding miles in Solano County. So helping to put these lines underground is going to, again, bring a lot of different benefits, whether it's increased fire resilience or fire prevention, or just increased reliability from some of the major storms that we've seen. So I'm really, really excited about it. Now we're going to continue to share updates. Of course, projects plans can change depending on a variety of conditions, whether it's environmental or permitting or easements. But we maintain a up to the date map of the underground projects at pge.com/. So with that, that's a little bit of the work that we're doing, again, in a layered fashion to try and really reduce as much wildfire risk as we possibly can in Yolo, Solano, and Nevada County. With that, let me turn it back to Dave.
All right, thank you, Joe. And I'm going to be sharing some more about potential safety outages that customers may experience and some important updates for the year. So in 2021, we started a pilot on about 170 circuits. And these were circuits in the highest fire risk areas, and we installed more sensitive safety settings on those 170 circuits. We call them enhanced power line safety settings. So what these do is essentially speed up the equipment, and that allows it to turn off power within 1/10 of a second if it detects some sort of problem on the overhead line. So by reducing that time that problem exists on the system, it might be a tree branch touching a line like we see here in this graphic. Reducing that time means that less energy is released, and that reduces the chance of an ignition and a wildfire. So last year in 2022, we expanded the enhanced power line safety settings to protect every customer who lives in a high fire risk area. And we continue to see elevated wildfire risk throughout 2022. But despite that risk, there was a 68% reduction in reportable ignitions and a 99% reduction in the ignition impact, which means that almost all fires that started were smaller and impacted fewer acres, despite the very dry conditions we saw throughout last year. So as I mentioned, 100% of the circuits in the high fire risk areas in your counties, Nevada, Solano, Yolo counties, are protected by these enhanced safety settings. And while the faster settings make the electric system safer, customers may experience unplanned power outages. After there's an outage, our crews patrol, they inspect the line in essence to identify what caused it, then repair the damage and get the power restored for our customers. We then do a detailed outage review, and that helps us identify the cause and opportunities we may have to further improve reliability into the future. Really identify those steps we can take to prevent a future outage and overall keep the power on for our customers. So here, what we see in this pie chart is an overview of the identified causes of outages that customers in Nevada, Solano, and Yolo counties may have experienced from 2021 when this program began through where we are today in 2023 with the EPSS program in place. In some cases, we may not be able to determine the cause of an outage on an EPSS protected line. Those undetermined causes could be the result of a branch like we saw in the previous graphic, or an animal that made contact with the power line. And when our crews arrive, they can't find it. So picture a branch that falls across two wires. It causes a fault. The equipment operates like it's supposed to de-energize and prevent an ignition. And then that branch falls off to the ground. When our crews are out inspecting, they may not see that branch and identify it as the cause, and that can lead to an outage with an unknown cause. And unknown causes accounted for about 40% of all outages on these enhanced power line safety settings enabled circuits in Nevada, Solano, and Yolo counties. We are committed to keeping our customers protected from wildfires while also delivering reliable energy. We know that there are some customers in your counties who experienced several outages last year, and that's before we had the significant storm activity over the last 3 months. We're working hard to reduce both the number of outages and the overall length or duration of those outages as well. In 2022, our team took several actions to improve reliability across these 3 counties. You can see them here in that kind of blue-green colored circuits. Those are where the circuits we've taken these actions on. So in these areas, we've installed fault indicators to help us speed up the overall restoration process. These are essentially little lights that are on the overhead electric line, and they help our crews more quickly find the location of the fault and get the power back on. If we know where the problem is, we can get people to the right location, get it repaired, and get the power back on more quickly. We've adjusted the sensitivity of these settings to make sure that we're not having any sort of trip of a device or an outage that didn't need to happen solely because of the sensitivity. We've installed bird and animal guards to help keep them safely away from the power lines. And we've trimmed trees, as Joe mentioned, near our power lines. And then in addition, across all of our service territory, we're looking for opportunities to install sectionalizing devices. These are really more pieces of equipment to help us break the grid into smaller chunks. That way, when an outage does occur, it impacts fewer customers, and it gives us more options when we're restoring the power. We're also temporarily transferring some customers to different circuits where we can do that to balance the load, further decrease the impact of outages, reduce the number of customers who may be impacted when there's an outage. And although some areas saw challenges with reliability over 80% of our customers in our service territory experienced 2 or less outages while they were being protected by these enhanced safety settings last year. I'm going to switch gears a little and share some information on public safety power shutoffs. So when there are really high winds, that can cause tree branches or debris to come in contact with energized electric lines. That can damage the equipment, damage the line, and potentially lead to a wind-driven wildfire. So as a result, we may need to turn off power during that really severe weather to help prevent those wildfires. And that's what we call a public safety power shutoff, or a PSPS, if you've heard that abbreviation. For the safety of our customers, the communities we serve, PSPS continues to be a necessary tool, but really a tool of last resort during the most severe weather we see. And every wildfire season is different. We know we've received a lot of rain and snow over the past 3 months, but we also know that dry conditions of late summer and the fall are still a significant risk. They're just around the corner. And the actual real-time conditions that we see, the weather conditions and what we see on the ground, will determine if we need to shut off power to ensure the safety of our customers. We'll talk a little bit about the similarities and differences between these two programs. I recognize it can be a little confusing, especially with the names being similar, lots of S's in here. So we'll highlight a few of the key differences. So EPSS, the Enhanced Power Line Safety Settings, that's aimed at reducing risk from fuels-driven wildfires, from dry grass, dry fuel on the ground. So we enable these settings when we have a combination of those dry fuels, grasses, shrubs, etc. We have low relative humidity, and then wind plays a factor as well, but less so than PSPS does. So PSPS, on the other hand, is that last resort to reduce the risk of wind-driven wildfires. So we're looking at a combination of factors here before deciding if we proactively need to turn off power. That's low humidity levels, a red flag warning declared by the National Weather Service. We're looking for forecasted high winds. Generally, that's sustained winds above 19 miles per hour and gusts above the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. And then we're looking at the condition of dry material on the ground, moisture content of the vegetation, and then lastly, the real-time observations from our teams that are monitoring the weather and from our crews that are working across the territory. Those are all taken into account before we make that very impactful decision whether or not a public safety power shutoff event might be necessary. So because PSPS is based on the weather, we can typically see it coming. So we have the opportunity to inform our customers and let them know in advance. Those notifications are going to begin about 2 days in advance of the power shutoff. So we really encourage everyone to make sure your contact information is current with us, so that when we send notifications, we make sure that you get them. EPSS, their Enhanced Power Line Safety Settings, when outages happen there, they're automatic, right? They happen because something contacted the line or there's some sort of fault on the system. So we aren't able to provide any advance notice. But customers can expect automated calls, text message, and email informing them when we expect their power to be back on. So when there's any outage that you have a question about, whether it be one that you're experiencing now, you want to know where we are in the restoration process, or if it's you're hearing about upcoming public safety power shutoffs, you can visit our outage center at pge.com/outages. And that has information on both current outages and potential ones that are coming up. All right, now I'll hand it over to Brandon Sanders, who's going to talk about the resources that are available to our customers.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Brandon Sanders. I am a local government affairs representative within PG&E's Region 2, North Valley Sierra. I am assigned to Nevada County, but I'm here today to cover some topics along the lines of Solano and Yolo as well. So the main message here with my piece is we want you to know that there is support available during outages, and we're going to talk a little bit about what supports there are, how you can access them, and the details related to these. So the first one is our community resource centers. As you can see here, we have them dispersed throughout these counties. Essentially, during a PSPS, we open these community resource centers so that folks who are without electric service during that event can access certain amenities, things like having a safe location to charge medical equipment or computers, cell phones, things like that. We want to make sure that basic charging needs are met when customers are impacted by an outage event such as a PSPS. Additionally, you can get up-to-date information. We provide updates to the folks staffing those centers. They're able to give information to impacted customers as to the status of the event and the outlook for restoration. And also, of course, we attempt to do our best to provide things like water and snacks and other basic amenities and supports so that we can hopefully alleviate some of the pressure on our customers during those outages. So I'd encourage you to take a look at pge.com/CRC. There you can find the locations and other related information as far as what resources available during a public safety power shutoff at these community resource centers. PG&E is very focused on supporting those customers of ours who have access and functional needs or medical needs. We are working in close partnership with the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers. And within that, 16 participating disability, disaster, access, and resource centers. These organizations partner with PG&E to provide support to our most sensitive customers during events such as a public safety power shutoff. The types of supports these groups can provide in partnership with PG&E they may include things like hotel stays, food stipends or food replacement, transportation to a safer or more comfortable location. And this is particularly targeted at those customers that have access and functional needs and require an additive level of support during outage events. I want to encourage everyone, if you or another member of your family or household depends on electricity to meet their medical needs, please reach out to your local disability disaster access and resources centers for assistance. You can find all of that information on PG&E's website at pge.com/DDAR. Additionally, another program that PG&E has in place is that through the DDAR program is the provision of portable batteries to customers, and also under certain circumstances, refrigeration for medication is part of that portable battery program. Since we started the program at PG&E in 2020, we have distributed more than 18,000 portable batteries to eligible customers who are often those most sensitive to service interruptions. For 2023, this current year, we have increased funding and expanded eligibility for the generator and battery rebate program. And we have also expanded eligibility for the portable battery program. I'd encourage you to visit pge.com/portable battery for more information on those eligibility requirements. Another relatively new program that PG&E has put in place, acknowledging the impacts of these PSPS events, is our backup power transfer meter program. It is critically important that if customers are using personal generators during an outage event, that generator is installed properly by a qualified electrical worker. This is critically important for the safety of our line workers in the field, and we have put this program forward to empower customers to get this done safely. So last year, PG&E developed a new meter design to make it easier for customers to use backup power during emergencies, or emergency outages, I should say. These meters provide a safe and convenient way to connect your portable generator to your home in just a few minutes. This program is free to customers, to eligible customers with a compatible generator, and we intend to reopen the application process for eligible customers later in the year. I'd encourage you to visit pge.com/transfer meter for more information on the program. Continuing along the lines of mitigating service interruptions through the use of personal generators, PG&E has also launched our Self-Generation Incentive Program. The Self-Generation Incentive Program offers rebates to save on energy storage systems in your home and business. Whether an outage is planned or unplanned, a battery would allow you to have a backup power source for your home or business. If you're interested in more information on the Self-Generation Incentive Program, we would encourage you to visit pge.com/SGIP. And with that, I'd like to turn it back over to my colleague, Dave Meyer, for some additional comments on additional customer resources. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brandon. Customers can find more information on resources and about our wildfire safety efforts at pge.com/wildfire safety. Or again, we did post all of the links we covered tonight in the chat. If you're looking for something specific, you can go directly to that page. We also have our Report It safety app. That's a great new tool you can use to report issues that you may see, non-emergency issues that you see as you're out and about living your life. It's as simple as taking a picture of the issue, giving us a brief description of it, and then submitting it to us. And then our crews will take those in and investigate every issue that's submitted within 30 days. I do want to note the app is for non-emergency submissions. So if you see sparking power lines, a tree touching a line, those are emergency situations. We don't want to wait 30 days to address those, obviously. In those situations, please call 911 and get those reported directly to emergency first responders. For the app, there have been 77 reported app submissions in Nevada County. Solano County has had 27, and there have been 17 in Yolo County as well. So again, if you want more information on the app, you can visit pge.com/reportit. Okay, we are going to transition now to the Q&A portion of the event. In a few days, we will have this all posted on our website. That's pge.com/webinars. I forgot to say that earlier, so I want to say that again. Then we'll move into Q&A. We've been receiving some great questions from all of you listening. If you haven't asked your question yet and you have one, you can submit it by clicking the Q&A box on your screen and typing it in for us. And we will do our best to answer all the questions we received tonight. If we aren't able to answer your question, or really if you have a very specific question about your home or your business, you can reach out to the dedicated email address for this program. That's wildfiresafety@pge.com, and we will respond to you. All right, with that, let's get started. Joe, I'm going to come to you first. We have a question from Bart, and he asks, why or can we insulate the high voltage lines that PG&E has above ground?
Thanks for the question, Bart. It's a really good one. In fact, insulating lines that are above ground is part of our system hardening strategy. But I'd also note that it's not a one-size-fits-all strategy. So we have been hardening overhead lines that are 12,000 volts since 2018. But when you do install insulated conductor, there are a couple of things that have to change. First off, you have to typically install poles that are closer together because the conductor or the wire is heavier. You have to install different cross arms. So it's a significant amount of work. It also doesn't quite achieve the wildfire risk reduction that undergrounding might. So in some areas where there may not be quite as many trees or as much of a high consequence if a wildfire did break out, insulating the lines overhead may make a lot of sense. Our engineers use a machine learning model, and they input in the wildfire risk of any given geographic area. along with a number of other types of factors, and that helps to kind of guide them towards the right mitigation measure. In some cases, it's underground. In some cases, it's overhead conductor that is hardened. We call it tree wire. And it just all kind of depends. So I hope that answers your question. Grateful for it. Thanks for being here, Bart.
Thank you, Joe. All right, we have a couple others I want to make sure we get to. I'll take this first one, then I'll come to Ryan. So Kathy asked us to remind her where customers can go to get more information on undergrounding and see the maps. There's maps by county of our undergrounding plans. That's pge.com/undergrounding. If you have any questions about the program or where the work is planned for the next year and a half or so, 2023 and 2024 in your community. All right. I'm going to come to Ryan next, and Ryan, you'll need to introduce yourself because I think we didn't do that yet. We have a question that asks what customers should do if they see a tree or something, some kind of vegetation that's contacting or really close to the line. How do they report that to us?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And it's a good question, and I'll just introduce myself quickly. I'm the senior manager in the Sierra region that covers these 3 counties. So yeah, we get a lot of this. Dave mentioned before you have the reported app available to you, but again, that is for non-emergency situations. In the case where you have a hazard tree or a tree that's actually making contact to the line, my suggestion would be to call PG&E directly, and that could be at 1-800 PGE 5000 or 1-800-743-5000. They will direct that directly to the veg management department, and usually what we do in those cases, we deploy an inspector to that location, validate that it's a tree that needs to be mitigated immediately, and then we will roll crews to that location within 24 hours. So please just call directly to PG&E in those cases. Again, if it's an emergency where you see sparking lines or even wires down, you definitely do want to call 911. But if it's a line that's making contact or intermittent contact with the line, then I would suggest calling 1-800 PG&E 5000. The other resource available to you with general questions around vegetation is our hotline, which is 1-800-564-5080, as well as our inbox that is monitored by our vegetation management department team, which is treesafety@pge.com. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thank you for that. We have a couple others come in, other questions coming in. A few of them we're responding to individually. They're pretty fairly specific. But while we give customers an opportunity to enter any of their questions they have, I'm going to come to Brandon first, then Joe, and ask, as we think about all the material we've covered so far this evening in the presentation, it was a lot, or even things that we didn't cover tonight. Is there one thing that you hope customers take away from our session tonight? Brandon, go to you first.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. It's a good question. I typically try to end my remarks in these types of environments by just asking those out in the community. We certainly understand that it is frustrating and inconvenient to be without electric service. But we do ask that if you encounter field personnel, line workers, vegetation management personnel in the field, they're out there working to do the right thing. They could be your neighbor, your T-ball coach, a member of your church. We simply ask that you treat them with dignity and respect. They work hard every day, often under difficult circumstances, to bring electric service to your community. They're part of your hometown as well. So we're just honored to serve and really appreciate the support we get from the communities we're in. Thanks.
Thanks, Brandon. And Joe, we'll go to you. Same question.
Thanks, Dave. So I think a couple of key takeaways. First, we have a lot of people that are doing a lot of good work to really create our safer hometowns. We've learned a lot over the last 5 years when it comes to how to design a safer system, how to engineer and install a safer electrical system. how to build better situational awareness, how to use all of the tools that we have in our toolbox to reduce wildfire risk dramatically. I would say that we need your support. We have a lot of work that is ongoing and a lot of work that's going to be coming up. So if you see our crews out there doing the work, whether it's vegetation management or undergrounding or working on the lines, even during a storm, do me a favor and give them a thumbs up. They're working really hard because they know how much their work means to the customer. And those customers are generally their neighbors. So we have the privilege of being able to serve our hometowns. And we feel a very strong responsibility to really build a system that is the safest possible. That's why we've made the single largest underground electric commitment in the entire United States history. We're going to underground 10,000 miles of distribution lines. So just continue to please give us your support. Thank you for your patience. We're making progress every single day. And just thanks for giving us the privilege of being able to serve you.
Thank you for that, Joe. So I'm going to go back to Ryan again. We had another question come in. Ryan, customer asks, a PG&E contractor downed a large tree on their property. Customer was told that they'd be back to cut this up and remove it, but they haven't seen anyone. So what does a customer do in that situation when they were told wood's going to be removed, but it hasn't been removed?
Sure. Thanks for the question. Yeah, so we do have a wood management program. Currently, our wood management program is offered to specific situations. Anytime there's a wildfire, we're actually committed to picking up all the wood related to that wildfire as it relates to the restoration of our lines and the rebuilding of our lines. We've had past programs. You may have heard of the Enhanced Vegetation Management Program, where we did offer wood management as well. And we also offer wood management in specific situations where there's a safety concern, maybe there's a fuel loading concern, maybe there's an access concern to the property ingress or egress. So with that said, my suggestion would, again, two ways to do it would be to submit a case. So you can call 1-800-PG&E 5000. That's 1-800-743-5000. They'll create a case that'll get directed to the location where the property address is. We'll send an inspector out to review the location and then figure out what the next step should be. The material, the wood, is the landowner's material, so we do have to be very careful to proactively just remove all debris. Many people want the debris for firewood or other reasons. Maybe has some commercial value to it as well. So we want to be very cautious of just picking up every wood. We do and should be chipping everything less than 4 inches out there, as well as tops. The large boles of the tree and the trunks of the tree many times do get left. But again, based off of the specific situation, we'll have to see if wood management is the right next step for that customer. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Ryan. And we got another question from Steve asking about the backup power transfer meter. So that and specifically about submitting an application, haven't heard back yet. So we did, and as we came into the end of 2022 and then the storms in the first quarter of this year, we got a little backed up on the applications for the backup power transfer meter. So there are a couple things. Please be patient with us. Our crews were pulled off, obviously, to deal with the storms. So we got backed up, and we're working through that plan to get caught back up and get those installed before we open it back up for new applications. But if you have submitted an application and you haven't heard back, you want to know what your status is, you can reach out to our email address on the bottom of the screen here, wildfiresafety@pge.com, and they can get you in touch with the right folks. And make sure we get someone to respond to you with the status of your application. All right, with that, we have gone through all the questions, so I am going to turn it back over to Joe Wilson to close out our session.
Thank you, Dave. First off, thanks to my colleagues who are working incredibly hard. Dave, who helped to moderate the session tonight, Brandon, who is our subject matter expert on some of the programs that we have for our customers. Paul, who's the Regional Safety Director, Ryan, who is our veg management lead for these counties, and then Allison Feliz and Jason Cabinas, who moderated. And then lastly, thanks to our customers who took time out of your evening to spend some time with us. We're committed to doing the right thing and to really creating a safer system. Every day we make progress, and it's really because we have this commitment to our customers and commitment to each other as PG&E coworkers. So just grateful for your participation. Please feel free to ask us any questions. Some of the links and resources have already been shown. You can go to pge.com/wildfire safety. Give us your feedback. Your feedback really, really helps us. And again, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening.